We have a knowledge session which will be presented by architect Nishant Gupta, AHC, Mr. Vatsal Gokani of Gokani Consultants, and Sushant Patil of the Lodha Group. May I please invite them on the stage with a big round of applause, please.
I'm Nishant Gupta. I'm joined by, from architect Hafeez, Contractor, Mumbai. I'm joined by my collaborating structural engineer, Vatsal, from Gokani Consultants.
Good evening, everyone.
And I'm also joined by, it's a rare opportunity that an architect speaks with the developer, right? So I'm joined by Sushant Patil.
So I'm architect Sushant Patil, and I'm from Lodha Group. I'm the head of design and handling the aspirational segment. Thank you.
All right. So this evening, we'll make it quick. I come from an office who has designed the ITC Royal Bengal, who has designed 42 Chaurangi. But for a change, we thought that, every time we talk about very flamboyant projects, we talk about, museums, we talk about art galleries, we talk about sales galleries, we talk about, but, something that constitutes 70% of our built environment is the group housing in the urban cities. And that is something, is usually missed. And so we took a very low profile, unsung hero kind of a project, a mass housing project which is delivered in Mumbai metropolitan region. And just to give you a scale, we were talking about the Gujarat Guardian Limited were talking a lot about Burj Khalifa. So this project has 50 buildings which are 30 to 40 floors each. And if I stack 10 set of buildings, it becomes one Burj Khalifa. So technically the scale of this project is 5 Burj Khalifas. Right. If one has to talk about scale in terms of size of this project, it is over 1.5 crore square feet of development, and out of which almost 1 crore square feet is being delivered, and in all phases have been delivered at least 14 to 16 months in advance.
So actually, we started this project in 2015. So like Lodha brand is always known to give a lifestyle. So you people know about the World Towers, but that's something, a different segment. But every segment deserves the lifestyle. So this is a project which our CASA brand, which CASA brand means the 1 CR, it's a CV value. So here we, when we got this project, we thought, because this is in a Thane city, and if you want to have a good life, a better lifestyle, you have to go away at least 6, 7 to 8 kilometers from the station. This is in the heart of the city. We thought every person, every class needs the lifestyle. And that's why within the heart of the Thane, we got this project for the CASA brand. And the price brand is 75 to 100 lakhs. So we, as a Lodha, we always work for the lifestyle, and that's where this Lodha Amara is a brainchild. Total area is somewhere around 40 acres. It's basically, a Clarent was the industrial land which we took over, total 88 acres, divided by 2 roads. That's why this land parcel was 42 acres. And Nishant, as he said, 5 Burj Khalifa kind of a thing we started. You can take over, Nishant.
Because I would have started with 50 affordable housing buildings. I think half of you would have gone out to the bar, and so I thought might as well have a slide that can sort of pump in little energy to all the audience. When we go talk about the scale, again, just giving big numbers, the car park building of this project has 11,000 cars. That is more than the car park building of Mumbai Airport and Delhi Airport put together in one place. So these are big numbers, and one would say, okay, one thing is that talking about it, and the other thing is doing it.
And we gave a challenge that time to Nishant. Like we said, we can't do any basements because we want to deliver this project in 3 years. We can't do basements. So it has to be MLCP. And we basically don't want to dig it. It's something a call for ESG also.
Yes, yes. So ultimately, what happens is that if I start taking you through now quickly, we got the site which was 72 acres, and we got the survey, and we got a little brief that these are the type of apartments that are required, and we got a survey, and we mapped it. Okay, these are so many trees, and then first thing as an architect comes to your mind is the sustainability of environment, and we want to save all the trees, and then we start getting the podium in a profile that, we don't cut any tree. And then we start placing our, buildings over it, and then do the networking, do the drop-offs, do everything, and then show it to the client. We get to know the survey was slightly incorrect. All the shrubs and everything was also shown as a large tree. And then it was again then explained that it's a more than, a sort of, we need to work around with the actual survey, and there were not really, those many number of trees. Then again, we go back, come to the studio, okay, let's do something landmark, we're like, okay, let's create a Venice, let's get a lot of water, because we got another brief, okay, one sector, the smaller sector of the bigger project should be luxury, should be, lifestyle and all. Again, that is again kicked out. Then we go back to the studio again, okay, now it has to be affordable housing. How do we do it? Then we make 3 clusters. We have got the car park building right in the center. We had an army camp on top, so there was height limitation in this area. And then there was a social housing component to the affordable housing component. So that's how, a market works. So this was the initial plan. Efficiency, everything, open spaces, I think we were fitting very well. The remark from the client we get is, who's this architect who's done this who watches a lot of Star Trek? And then let's go with straight lines and, let's do things which are relatively faster. And these were the initial. So eventually, then we said that how Sushant mentioned that delivery has to be in 30 months. Now, when delivery has to be 30 months, things have to be slightly, the reason why I showed you the previous option is that something that got built is not the immediate response as a design, is a process, and then there is acceptability. And then sustainability is not just, what my ego or, suggests. It's ultimately sustainability of economics also, besides, social and environmental parameters. And the idea was the construction has to go, there has to be repetition. We have to use the lowest part for the car park. And then we start building up, things. Buildings are 150 feet apart from each other, wherein, one can see the other person, but they can't recognize the face. Then what happens is the social component goes. The moment we grab that opportunity, try and create an open space in the center, and then we create something like this. And then try and, sort of get the greens inside, open up into the larger greens. And that's how ultimately the master plan came about, and, everything got signed off. So the whole idea was that you come in to this gateway, and the green sort of extends into both nerves. And then we have different, like a pink tabubia, the purple tabubia streets. So everything was pedestrian friendly. There was no vehicle going in except the drop-offs on the alternate lanes. So this was the initial visual for the project. And then what we thought was that we would also create a forest at the fag end of the project. And we wanted to create a large 50,000 square feet club, which would be a break from this and would have a resortish feel. And this would extend into the CRZ land where we couldn't build, so create a forest.
So actually, if I talk about this forest thing, it's a great story. Like, this is a land parcel which you see. This is 7.8 acres. And there were some trees because it was an industrial land before. But we created a good landscape within that existing trees. We had some more trees planted there. And actually, we made it as a big selling point. That's a forest inside your house. So that's something which is I think you can just come and just enjoy the forest thing. And I think after the COVID, I think if you just notice, like, the people actually now know what is the importance of these green areas. So after the COVID, after 2-3 months, when the restrictions were removed little bit, people really enjoyed, and we have got a good feedback from our HPM team from the Amara residents. Yeah.
And all these buildings that you see are pervious at the ground floor. So what happens is that one can go from one side to the other side, so you can walk from one part of the project to the other part of the project. And the main feature one has to understand is that we are talking about an effective 12.5 FSI on this plot. So once we start seeing, it's easy to say that you do the buildings like this, they do look like that, but you have a restriction that you can't build on this area above 24 meters. You have a restriction that you can't build anything in this area. You have a restriction that a certain part has to go into Mother Earth Aji. You're left with a certain area, and that is when, where, and how, and what you do sort of defines the project. So these were some initial visuals. These were the last. So this is how we, created the green lung going into each pocket. And then these were the pervious lobbies that one can walk from one side to the other. So now, you come to a product whereas what a 1 BHK has to be. So a general, this is what we are talking in 2012-13, we started designing. A 1 BHK which used to be a 480 square feet product. 480 square feet, we brought it down to a 415 square feet, 400 square feet product, wherein we provided 2 toilets. This was the existing product. This is the product that we made. Now, what would happen is that you load that extra 15% area. So a house, this, let's say, comes for 75 lakh. The same area, you get better room sizes, you get better utilization of space, and you get the same thing in 60 lakh. So that is the kind of intervention through design I think an architect can really give. So again, there was a set mind frame that they want to do six flats a floor because that was a model they had been working with. So I won't say like this is the most innovative plan in the world, but this is a well thought of plan which sort of improves what had been going on for years and then bring in an efficiency which we work with Vatsal, that how can the structure be very efficient, something for a 30 or 40 story. When you do steel, for all the architects and structural engineers, they well understand that you do for 6 kgs. We were doing at 3.9 kgs. So
4.5 kgs.
Yeah.
Between 30 to 40 stories. So this is the structural plan of the building. Architecturally, it was a single T, but structurally, we had to join the T's to give it the base width, so that we could, reduce the forces on the shear walls. This is the shear core of the building, which is a fairly rectangular core, and this helped us achieve a lot of efficiency. The client also wanted to create a flat which could be merged very, very easily. Flat slabs are generally frowned upon in the Indian standards, but with the help of these beams, we could create kind of a pseudo flat slab, which is not really a flat slab, but it looks like a flat slab. So, and all these columns are just along the periphery of the flats. Even then, this dimension is about 4 to 4.5 meters. So this is just the zoomed-in version of one of the floor plans, where you can easily see the structural system. These columns here are a part of the vertical load resisting elements, and only the shear wall core takes the lateral loads. This
Also what is happening is that previously when we were doing, so T-shaped building is not good for torsion, as most of the people understand, as structural engineers, everybody understands. But now we're getting little more FSI on the existing FSI, so we're going in more rectangular central core, for the last few buildings.
Nishant and his team helped us to get this very, rectangular central core, which was the key to achieving the efficiency that we talked about. And efficiency not only in terms of cost, but also in terms of flexibility in the planning. And the other main important aspect was the repeatability. So how the buildings were designed was there was a central core, and there were different unit configurations that came together. And these had to be joined on the same core. So there were 5, 7, 10 different types of buildings structurally. And because of this kind of a planning, we could achieve that repeatability, and we could use aluminum foam in a very efficient way throughout the buildings. Well, flexibility and repeatability sometimes are economic killers, because you want larger spans. But with the help of Nishant and his team, we could achieve the economy. So I'll just run through how we achieved the economy. So for, one of the most important aspects of achieving the economy was the structural configuration. As I earlier pointed out, even though the building is a T shape, we had to join the two inverted T's together to widen the base of the building, which would result in lower forces in the shear walls. The second important aspect that is very important is the shear wall massing. Just like massing is very important in architecture, where you place the shear walls in the building is very important. So if you take the shear wall core that we just showed you, and you just messed up the shear wall elements and just placed them haphazardly, the building would have been very less efficient. Just because we could align the shear wall core, we could align this core and align these columns, we could achieve a very efficient way of placing these shear walls. The other aspect was we fine-tuned the lateral load elements such that the lateral load elements are the elements which take the wind and earthquake load. So we fine-tuned the elements so that nothing more than required was put in, and this required a lot of iterations and optimizations from our end. Lateral load elements require a lot of detailing with respect to RCC, which is again an economic killer. So we tried to use some gravity elements within the system which are penalized less in the codal provisions. They also provide you flexibility along the flats and reduce the column sizes over there too. We tried to reduce the spans. If you see the layout, along the periphery, the spans are not more than 4 to 5 meters maximum. Even though it looks like a big flat slab, we could achieve, we could reduce the spans along the periphery and still achieve the flexibility. And we also optimized the concrete. In a 30-story building, we went up to as high as M50 grade concrete, and we could, reduce the size of the elements and the reinforcement that we put in. And the consumption, taking in account all the codal provisions and everything, a consumption for a 30-story building came to 3.9 kgs per square feet or 0.033 cubic meters per square feet. So this is a fairly decent consumption. And this is the ETABS model that we used on the for the building for our optimizations, and which helped us achieve the goals of the project.
So to maintain economy, everything was separate in the sense a set of contractor was given one row, the other set was given another row, another set contractor was given another row. We had the underground water tanks, 6 meters away from the building. So there's a separate contractor who's doing the water tank. There's a separate contractor who's doing the buildings. There's a separate contractor who's doing the STP. There's a separate. So every task was, nicely engineered. And at the site, so that this whole mass housing project could be delivered. Now, what we did was, as an architect, you only are left with then the nodes that you could create for all these, amount of people that would come. And then we created a gesture here. We created a pavilion here. And then, like I was explaining earlier, a breakaway, a transition into the forest. We created a club at the end of the project. So as you arrive at the project, so this is the kind of portal that we created, and now we are hiring an artist to get a suspended artwork into this gateway. So this gateway takes you to that central green, and it extends into the overall project. And then on either side, you have the whole the mass the project, the buildings that you see. Now this is when you see it from the central green side, through that gateway comes into a swimming pool, and then the garden starts extending. They are covered walkways for people coming out from the car park building and going to their own residences. The maximum distance from MLCP to your apartment is not more than 500 meters, which is a walkable 5-minute time. Then we tried multiple options of what the style of the clubhouse should be. And then we, talked with multiple styles that, this is how we should do it. And ultimately, this a gymkhana kind of a feel got approved. And these were initial visuals of our ideas. And the finished pictures, I think I'll let Sushant scroll through. And then we created the idea of the overall project. I'll show you the visuals that we thought we perceived it, and how it became. I think we wanted to create trails, forest trails. We want to create tree houses. So it's a real immersive forest that we have created. So these are visuals, and then we'll show you the ultimate picture. So with all these visuals, we went to Abhishek Lodha's office, and we made a fantastic presentation. Okay, he's like, everybody's charged up. This is 10 years back when I was 10 years lighter. So we presented that, the project would be launched tomorrow. They wanted all the visuals, and we were very excited. The meeting went well. He liked few views. He discarded few views. And next morning, they said there'll be a full page coverage of this project. Next page, this is the advertisement. So I'm excited that my project is on the cover page and has has Akshay Kumar on it and Twinkle Khanna, but doesn't have the building. So the feeling was, mixed, that, your project is being featured, but it doesn't have, and this is like 10 years back. Right now, developers left in, day out, they, take the cover page. 10 years back, taking a cover page.
This is 2015.
Yes. Then, but following, there were how the project was finished, and these came in. Last, I think I'll just cover is a very interesting aspect of doing a car park building, and which is that we are talking about a massive building. Everybody would be wondering that you have a 12-story car park building. Now, imagine Bombay, it's a very, people are adapted to going to 10-story podium, but each time a 10-story, you sort of keep swirling and go up. So you'll be like, okay, boss, I don't want to go up. I might as well not have a car. So here we devised a technique wherein we had the length. So as we entered the project, we made an express ramp. So you'll go one level up, get into it, go second level up, get into it, go to third level up, take a turn, go 3 levels up again, and then go 3 levels up again. So even if you're parked on the 12th level, you'll only turn twice. So that kind of intervention through design, we were able to, instead of doing a conventional ramp, we were able to, beat. So this was, I think, a great feat. The second thing we convinced the client was have the lobbies at the end of the car parking building. There was a whole argument, we should have lifts just everywhere. We should have lifts along the staircases. But one is that you go take a lift which is closest to you, get down on the ground floor, then again walk through the parking and get out. The second option is that wherever you park, you travel on your same floor, get down on the corner, directly enter into the project. So you're not traveling twice in the car park jungle. Nobody likes that experience of traveling into it. And lastly, then how are we doing the facade? And as architects, we would be like, this should be the, okay, you're not letting us do anything on the buildings. We want to blow it off on the car park building. So, okay, we were enthusiastic, and we created multiple options. We created more options, and everything was football. Boss, we are not doing anything. Then what can we do? So this is the construction area. Fine. This was the mass of the car park building. And this is how you perceive that mass, that 12-story on the corner of the plot. So all we did was, can you let us make this kind of a stepping in the car park building? And whatever we have subtracted from here, we just add another floor. So in terms of structural engineering, his reinforcement is not really going high because he's just adding another floor, right? But at the same time, as an architect, I've got that soft form as I enter the project. So that is the intervention that I was not allowed to do any facade treatment. That is the maximum as a form, one could do. So, and then lastly, we like, okay, let us at least have, markers to see which floor it is. And you would see the soffits from below that you had a whole vibgyor of colors with that step profile. Over to you with the finished product.
So this is something, this was a structure which was already there as an industrial one. We use it for our sales office. Which one? Just so I think last 2 minutes. So I think I'll just I think you can go next. I'll show you the actual pictures. These are some show flats what we did for the sale purpose. This is a entry. This is an actual photograph. What you can see here. Go next.
Yeah, so we retained all the trees, whichever possible was on the periphery. We had a very subtle color palette.
Next. This is the pool. I think Nishant showed some of the 3D renderings, but these are the actual ones. We have a lot of amenities. The sports arena also there, which is this is a sports arena. Actual picture. We have a 2.8 acre of the land which is under the sports arena. We have a football field for the two tennis courts. One multi-purpose. We have a 400 meter 4-lane athletic track. And there is also some areas which is for the cricket and all. Next.
Yeah, so it's a 50,000 square feet club which has all auditoriums and everything. The list can go on, but I think
so. This has a 80. The clubhouse is around 40,000 square feet. We have a 80-seater theater. We have a all health club, gym, restaurants. We have 4 swimming pools because the total number of units are 8,500. So. So these are some of the, we have a party hall, everything. So whatever you think like as a high-end luxury kind of amenities, each and everything which is provided at an affordable rate. So this is the actual picture of the swimming pool.
Yeah, this model also lives,
the model Mumbai, also lives 75 lakhs is really affordable.
So see, the idea is when we say affordable, it doesn't mean that we don't make it aspirational. The idea is that every time an affordable house is branded as, this yojana, that yojana. But if you, start marketing it like that, I don't
Can you
think...
go back? Can you
yes.
Go? This is the indoor temperature control pool, actual picture.
And now this is the forest that we are
And I love going there. Like whenever I'm at Amara, I visit this. I just take a walk. It's nice to roam around in this 2.7 acre land.
So these are all the forest trails in the forest area there, and I think this is a real place of joy for the 10,000 families. And of course, we've got this is more of a developer slide that we've got a temple.
Yes,
right.
So we have.
So all right. So I think that's about it. And across, it's a large master plan, like he was explaining. That across the street also the other development, Sterling is also done, which is low-lying 24 meter. These are more luxurious, and this has courtyards. So everything, is has to be pegged at a...
As I said, this is the area where, if you want to buy a house, this is around 2+ CR. But here we created what the 75 lakhs houses. But across this, we had this London living, which is high-end one.
So and also then affordable housing, and then we created some affordable offices, 200 square
Actually, this affordable houses, what we started in 2020 after the COVID, where people actually felt like need, walk to home, walk to work. So, there are so many startups who wants to have a smaller offices, 200 to 300 square feet of office. I can stay in Amara and I can go to my office. No need to travel. So that's where we actually got this product, because we had some small land parcel which was attached to the road, which was previously was not under the development, but later on we got that restrictions removed. So that's something which we started in 2020.
And we created small terraces with each of these small units. So that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you to the speakers from the team Lodha Amara. Can we call up on the stage Mr. J.P. Agarwal, Architect Kamal Periwal, and Ms. Rupande Shah to felicitate our speakers. Can I call upon Ms. Shakuntala Ghosh also to felicitate the team Lodha Amara? May we have a big round of applause?